Yo YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy AJ here, back at it again with another video. And in today's video I'm going to be talking about a huge gameplay change that could potentially come and that I really want, that I think will affect the future of Wuthering Waves gameplay forever. And it's kind of crazy, guys, that we've never even talked about this topic before or have this discussion, or no CC brought it up. And it was kind of hitting me today when I was having a conversation with a friend and playing Wuthering Waves myself. And trust me, guys, when you hear about it, you guys might be either some have been thinking it, or some may have been like, oh wow, this actually slipped my mind, and this is something that is crazy that Kuro Games should add. But first and foremost, if you like the content on the channel, make sure you hit a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're trying to get to 10k. We're trying to be the top Wuthering Waves creator in the space. Thank you guys for keeping the lights on this channel and supporting me. It means the world. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So one of the things I want to talk about is, if you've ever played multiple gachas, and I'm talking about the big ones, right, I guess you can say, and it's very subjective of what's big, but let's just compare to Hoyoverse, right? Hoyoverse games, and they all have this change that I'm going to talk about that Kuro Games doesn't really have, which is kind of crazy considering that even saying which is the best combat is subjective. Although I lean towards Wuthering Waves, I think most gacha players would lean towards Wuthering Waves having the best combat. HSR is kind of hard to compare. I guess the best comparisons are your Zenless Zone Zeros and your Genshin Impacts to Wuthering Waves, and I think Wuthering Waves does take the cake, or at least it's more so my cup of tea. And one of the big changes I want to talk about is the elemental system. That's right, guys. Now a lot of people may be confused as to saying, AJ, why are you talking about the elemental system? Well, allow me to explain. Even in HSR, or even in Genshin Impact or other games, different elemental characters, right, they always do different things. They apply, I guess in Genshin they have elemental reactions. In Zenless Zone Zero, the best thing I can compare right now to what I'm talking about is Anomaly, where you have fire characters, where you have physical characters, either proc bleed and stuff like that, and they do this in HSR as well. One of the crazy things about Kuro and Wuthering Waves right now is that we have amazing combat, we have amazing parry, dodge windows, and different gimmicks in characters' kits, but most characters they have one thing that kind of like separates themselves. They do feel different when you play each one, right, which is what makes the game amazing, but they don't really have anything interactive with the elements. And that's one thing I want to talk about, and I have a couple suggestions for Kuro Games, and I want them to start with the characters, or even release an update where elements now do something that affect in-game when you're fighting the boss or fighting multiple mobs, and it can lead to a bunch of future events that they can do with this, and they can just change up how you play characters. So allow me to explain in some examples I'll use. Let's start with characters like Changli, Encore, Chixia, and stuff like that, where they're fusion characters, and I would like to see if they were to get a burn DOT. Yes, guys, so what I would like for them to do is say a gameplay mechanic where on the side, while breaking the character, or they can even use the break bar, right? Let's say, for example, Changli or an Encore breaks the enemy boss. Sure, you can get your damage in, or they can use a separate bar where it's a build up where they start applying burn DOT to the boss. That could be huge for single target fights, you know what I mean? And that could be amazing too, just to engage and see the bonus damage build up. And it will also make elements more, I guess, prevalent. I guess the only real time that you're really worried about elements is tower, when they're trying to advertise like, hey, you need arrow on this side, or they're kind of like just pushing it. But another thing they can do, and I have a few more suggestions, guys, and I do have something that I want the community or you guys watching to engage with, and I need your help with, and we're going to get to that when we get to the last two elements that I'm going to talk about. But ice is something that is another thing that I thought about that they can do with gameplay for ice characters like Lin Yang, like Jay-Z, or any other future characters, is give them shatter and give them freeze. So essentially what shatter is basically, if you've seen it before, is imagine if there's a group of enemies and you have, let's say, like Jaja or Jay-Z or Lin Yang, you break a bunch of them and all that, and all of them freeze up on the field, and now for a couple seconds when you hit them again while they're on the break bar and you're doing that bonus damage, you get a shatter, so even more damage. And it's just affecting, it's a nice only visual look. It's not only visually pleasing, guys, but the gameplay aspects of it is going to be very fun. I think it adds that added layer to combat already, with something simple but a very nice touch to its complexity. The next thing we can do with electro characters, and this was perfect for Yin Lin when I thought about it, guys. We've all seen Yin Lin's combo. You build up her, basically her forte bar from underneath, you hold that heavy attack, you know what I mean? All those little lightning lines or chains come down, you know what I mean, putting the mark on everybody. It would be amazing if Yin Lin had something to where when those come down, imagine if electro characters get shocked, where it's like an electric jolt that attaches to multiple enemies that CC chains them. Could you imagine if that happens after Yin Lin's combat and then you bring Zhang Liao down to ult? Dude, it's just beautiful, bro. Like visually, if you just start imagining it and the gameplay potential, it just makes, I think, combat even more exciting, and especially because it's already fun as it is. The next thing I would talk about, and the final one that I really came up with, was Havoc. And Havoc, I thought, because they're destructive characters, Camella's around the corner, Don Jin mains have fun with that character. A lot of people like Havoc Rover as well. Why not just apply debuffs to enemy? They're already super strong and powerful, right? And they're wrecking shop. Imagine if they break or they have like some sort of gimmick in the way where Kuro can decide how they do it. It applies debuffs to the enemy, maybe like pen damage, defenses are down or whatever, HP is down, attack power is down, and you're just going ham 100%. Now the other two, and I would like the community's opinion on, because I really couldn't even think of any other good ideas for the other two elements, and not really good ideas. I mean, they're basic ideas, but I kind of wanted something that like, oh, would be fun and like you can play with these characters. The two elements I struggle with, guys, are Arrow and Spectro, and I'm really not sure how to what would be like a good in-game gimmick for the elemental system for Arrow or Spectro, and somebody else can apply that. Arrow's kind of a tricky one. I really can't think of anything for Arrow, but Spectro I think is the most difficult one in my opinion, just because the Spectro units right now that we currently have, and let's say Kuro did apply the system, the top one is Jin C, you know, we have Shorekeeper and stuff like that, and these characters are just very, very crazy characters, especially the DPS side. Like, I feel like Spectro's that one element where you can be creative and say, oh yeah, it's Spectro, it does this, that, and the third, because it's just like, I guess the creativity level, because I don't know, I guess, what is Spectro light, technically speaking? And I don't know, maybe you give the character more buffs, but honestly, I felt like with the amount of buffs Jin C has, I felt like that was a cop-out answer, and that you would just make Jin C even more powerful when she's already probably not going to get power crept anytime soon. But I mean, if you really like that and Jin C mains would want that, then you know what? Go ahead. The sky's the limit. But yeah, Arrow was one I couldn't really think of, and I would love to hear your guys' the community down below, my community, or the comment section below for the gameplay wise. What do you guys think they should do with Arrow? And also, I'd like to know, guys, what do you guys think they should do? Do you guys like this idea of the elemental system? I think it's like a small change, but it's huge at the same time. Like, it's one slight change that changes the way combat's evolved. And I was talking about future events. If you made it this far, one of the things about future events that could happen is, could you imagine if, like, let's say an ice character comes out in the future and say, oh, maybe they do something with heavy attack, or maybe it's just like they're good enough to play with Jian, and then you start like, you know, using CC or using the ult on Jian, grouping up all the enemies. When Jian's ult's about to go out, before you're about to break it, you switch out to the ice character, shatter all the enemies below, and then just go ham. You know what I mean? And it's just so fun how many gameplay events and changes they could do with that. It also brings, I think, elements back into the forefront, because I know a lot of us are finally starting to get our 3 teams, our comps fully built out, and we have diverse group of characters. And in the future, those of us who are still playing Wuthering Waves now are going to keep playing it for the foreseeable future, and we're going to cover every element anyway on the board. And it's just gonna make gameplay exciting and fun and ignite. It's that little element that is it's a small tweak, but a huge gameplay change, guys. But all in all, let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you guys think this would be a good change? What do you guys think about Arrow and Spectro? Do you guys agree with some of the element things that I was saying, like, you know, Fusion getting the burn DOT, ice, you know what I mean? I would love to hear your thoughts and get creative with it. Post it in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for the support. It's been your boy AJ. I love you all. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all next time. Peace.